How deep the Father's love for us, how vast beyond all measure, that He would give His only Son to make a wretch His treasure. How great the pain of searing loss! The Father turns His face away as wounds which mar the chosen one bring many sons to glory. Behold the man upon a cross, my sin upon His shoulders. Ashamed, I hear my mocking voice call out among the scoffers. It was my sin that held Him there until it was accomplished. His dying breath has brought me life, and I know that it is finished. I will not boast in anything, no gifts, no power, no wisdom, but I will boast in Jesus Christ, His death and resurrection. Why should I gain from this reward? I cannot give an answer, but this I know with all my heart. His wounds have paid my ransom. Why should I gain from this reward? I cannot give an answer, but this I know with all my heart. His wounds have paid my ransom.
I want to ask for a favor first. This gentleman who is sitting here, if you could stand for me, please. I will ask Sister, oh my goodness, how can I forget you of all people, my neighbor? If you could stand for me, I will ask, there's a sister in glasses, if you could stand for me. I'll ask you to do me one favor, and these two individuals here. If you could, can you stand please for me? If you could walk towards here, towards the cross, and when you come, just touch the cross. When you get to the cross, touch it. Everyone, from where you are, just walk. Now, the rest of you are not walking. Observe what is happening here. Okay. Can someone tell me what you have observed? Unity? They've been brought together. From where? Oh, okay. Okay, somebody else? Another observation? The more obvious one. They are all focused at the cross. They are all meeting at the cross. Okay? Yeah, there's a more obvious one. But we easily neglect it. The other hands are touching the cross. Yeah. That's the one I was looking for. All the others are true, but they all came from a distance, but they have converged in one common place. Why is that so important? Go back and sit wherever you choose to be. Why is it so important? Why is it so important? I am not a good mathematician, but if I calculate the distance from this brother to that sister and that sister, it's about how many meters? 5 or 6. And another 4 or 5, another 3 or so. But they all came together. But when they were coming to the cross, I didn't ask them to meet each other. I told them to come to the cross. While they were coming to the cross, they came together. Why is that important? Seek peace and pursue it. That's the title of sermon. Sermon title or sermon title? Title sermon or sermon title? Okay. That's the title to our sermon. Seek peace and pursue it. It's very easy to pursue things and look for them rather to seek for things in the wrong places. Right things, but in the wrong places. It's very easy also to look for things and not really endeavor to keep looking for them. Now, when I was looking for the meaning of word seek, the meaning of word seek simply is looking with intent. Looking with intent. You are looking for something, but so intentional, so fervent, so decided, this is what I must have. There is a sister who gave a very interesting testimony this morning of asking God for £1,000 and God delivers 1,500. Can you include me in your prayer list? You know, when she said that, I was wondering what she was going to get. And what God delivers is much more. She knew what she wanted. She asked for it, and God delivered it. After it was delivered, how did you use it? I'm not going there, but how did you use it? Seek peace and pursue it. Is it me who is making that noise, or does it just come automatically when people are here? The text that we read, Psalm 34. Psalm 34. Then we'll turn to Matthew chapter 5. Look at these 2 verses and a few more before I can sit down. I don't want to promise you when I will sit down, but when I sit down, you will all know that I've sat down. Because you see me seated. Okay. Matthew chapter 5. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. Verse 14 of Psalm 34. Depart from evil and do good. Seek peace and pursue it. Seek peace and pursue it. We don't seek for things that are obvious. We really don't. We might go find them, but we don't really need to put a lot of effort in seeking for things that are obvious. If I told you to go and look for a car, and this is the registration number of the car, you will want to be sure that you find the right car that I've sent you to find. Otherwise, there are too many cars outside. If I find you to get up and find a certain child in the congregation by the name Joshua, you are not going to bring me a child called Janine and tell me that is the child you are looking for. You are going to look for that particular one. The psalmist is in agreement with the author of the book of Matthew, Matthew himself, and they are in agreement in one thing, that there is need for peace. We cannot seek for peace when it is already there. We seek for peace because it's elusive, because it's not obvious, because it doesn't come by chance. And sometimes, when we have found it, the psalmist tells us to pursue it. Seek, you will find. Matthew 7, verse 7. Ask, it shall be given to you. Seek, you shall find. Knock, and the door shall be opened. Seeking is so important because when you are seeking, you already have an idea of what you are seeking for. But you may find or not find. A story is told of men and women who went to the U.S. to look for new life and better life. And as they went, they discovered that there was an easy way of making life easy for them. If you find gold and mine it, you can sell it and you are home and dry. But I'm also told of a story, among those many stories, of one group of individuals who went to California. And as they started digging for gold, they realized it was shallow gold. They had spent a lot of money to build the mines. They had spent a lot of resources. A lot of people had come into the city. People had built hotels and places of residence so that when people come to mine, they will pay money to them. But it did not last long. There are times as Christians, though we know we need peace with one another, though we know we need peace in our innermost souls, though we know that we need peace with God, sometimes that peace may appear elusive. Today, you may hear someone say, I'm at peace in my soul. This morning. And in the evening, they say, I have no peace. Then you wonder, what happened to the peace you had in the morning? Where did you lose it? Someone at the beginning of the year might say, this year I just want to be a peaceful individual in my home. But 2 days later, after the new year, there's no peace, and you hear there's commotion in that home. Sometimes you hear people in churches say, we want peace in our church and unity, as pointed out here. But after a while, you hear there is disunity and there is disharmony. There is no peace in that church. What happens to peace, and why should we pursue it? Because of conflict, and we know, I mentioned this last year to you. Those who are not here, let me recap. That where 2 or 3 are gathered, even there amidst them, there is conflict. Jesus, of course, said, where 2 or 3 are gathered in his name, is also there.
But when they come, even in Jesus' name together, there will be conflict among them. What is conflict? Conflict is the difference in opinion or purpose that frustrates someone's goals or desires. How many elders do we have in this church? How many elders? How many elders do we have in this church? How many? One. How many say two? There is always one head to everybody. Okay? So we have only one head elder in this church. Assuming the head elder decided to step down, and we have 5 who want to be head elders. And they begin to realize, you know what, this is not going to be easy. They will either outwit the others. One might choose to say things about the others so that they do not appear to be fit for the head elder's position. Hello? Others might say, you know what, it doesn't matter. Whoever is head elder, that's okay, God's choice. But let me tell you, on majority of cases, even in church, because of only one position and a few heads looking for that one position, someone's desires might be frustrated. And when they are frustrated, you hear things you never expected to hear. You see things you never expected to see. You walk things you never expected to walk. And sometimes you sit in places you should never have sat in the first place. Let's look at a few causes of conflict. And this might be at work, but I want to zero in church because I'm in church. Misunderstandings. Misunderstandings are a common cause of conflict, or many times. And this will come with communication and everything else. One time, I had 2 children I was looking for. 2 young men, 1 6, 1 7. And being boys, I knew they could outplay me, especially when they were to go to bed. This day I came with the polo sweets. You know them? Them little sweets? I came with a pack, with 2 packs, and I decided, you know what, let me hand this to them and see what they do with them. Before too long, one of them had nearly exhausted all his, and his friend had a few because he knew where to put some for later. And just before they went to bed, I asked them to bring all the sweets that they had because I feared they might choke in bed. And the one who had a few reached one pocket, brought out 4, reached the other pocket, brought 2, and went like this and said, Uncle, I have nothing more. And I said, okay, you can go to bed. And the other one looked at me and said, I've eaten all mine. I said, no, you're lying to me. He said, no, I have actually eaten all mine. They are finished. And I said, okay, you guys go to bed. And when they were in bed, one bed this side, one bed this side, I heard whisper in the room. And I stood by the door and I heard, can I have? Then I wondered, what does he want to have? Because I already have everything. And little did I know, the one who had given me lots of them are still much more remaining. And he said, can I have Paulo? And he responded and said, you got your pillow. One is talking of polos, the other one is responding of pillows. What was the misunderstanding? The one who had polos did not want to give in the first place, so it was easier for him to say, you got your pillow. And as I walked into the room, I found him just about to put his polo in the mouth. And I said, excuse me, can I have that polo? And he looked at the other one and said, you betrayer. He wasn't betrayed. He had not been honest. Misunderstandings can easily cause a huge commotion and conflict, even in families, even in church. Someone says something about so-and-so, and by the end of the day or by the end of the week, stories have changed many times over. And the stories that are flying by the end of the week today, which started last Sabbath, by the way, may be very different than when they started. And because there is that misunderstanding, people come to a point where they say, you know what, if she sits there, I will sit there. If he sits there, I will be there. And when they greet me, I will turn and find somebody else to greet, because I really don't want to have anything to do with them. Misunderstandings, differences in values and goals. What do I say about this? We all have different values and goals in life. And as you pursue your goals and as I pursue mine, you really don't understand. We might be doing the same thing, but my goals are very different. My values will be very different from yours because we are two different individuals. And in pursuit of my goals and my values, you will think that I do not respect you. Very easy. Very easy. Competition over resources. Oh, we got only one mic and 2, 5, 3, 4 speakers to speak. Who goes first? That might be a big thing. Because it's only one, we either, and I was impressed by the way the children behaved here. Because when they were being given, they realized there was enough to go around. And there was no commotion. I was invited in a party in 1986, President's party for the Adventists. He had prepared a huge banquet for Adventists. For the first time, he was meeting the Adventists. And I happened to have been on that road the day these guys were meeting the president. My name was not there. But I found a way of getting to the presidents. And I found myself there without invitation. I saw the president. I met the president. And I was so blessed because I met the president. But it came lunchtime. And the president had his banquet to be served to the people, over 4,000 people. What baffled me is what happened when people were being served. There was enough to go around, but some of us chose to be greedy, a little bit greedy. Oh no, not greedy, needy. And so we came, and I remember there were several trucks, and the first thing they decided to serve was bread, common bread. And as they were serving bread, we were busy queuing. Some of us were students, there were adults, there were leaders of the church, and as everyone was queuing, I discovered there was one lady who was not bothered to queue. She was not bothered to queue. So what she did, she went to the back of the whole group that was queuing and waiting for the bread to be passed on. And when she got to the back, she spread what we call in Kenya leso. You know what leso is, Maxwell? Leso is those wraps that women use, okay? So she went and spread it and occupied about 2 by 1 meter. And she's there waiting. And she waits. And the guy who was in the truck realized these guys are disorganized. So instead of giving bread, because people who are in the queue decided they were going to anyway come and get the bread, he decided, I'm going to do something stupid with you. And he started throwing bread. Now, when bread is coming and your fingers are facing up, you never catch it. You punch it and it goes to the back or forwards. And so I saw this woman who was stationed waiting without fighting for anything, waiting, and loaves of bread were dropping to her. And she was busy picking and waiting and collecting because people had missed it.
I happen to have been very hungry and small then. Of course, even now I'm small. But as I walked around, I realized this woman has 7 loaves of bread already, and much more are coming. So I asked her, can I have half a loaf of bread? And she looked at me and said, son, I only got these. 7? I'm asking for half, and you got only that? Competition over resources. I would have picked that thing and run with it. But I remembered I was not invited. Sinful desires and attitudes.
All of us have them. I have my sinful desires and attitudes because I'm born of a woman conceived in sin. And here I am, product of that. And I cannot do anything about it unless I come to the cross. That's the only place that can deal with my sinful attitudes and desires effectively. In church, nobody can do it because what church does, church paints us outside, but inside is still the same all the time. We may wear to conform. We may dress to conform. We may walk to conform. But let me tell you, inside there, only the one who can reach there is Jesus Christ. Pastor can come here and tell you, don't wear a skirt that goes up this way and that way, but you will not wear it when you come to church. But what will happen this evening? You'll be in it. What will happen in the next 6 days? You'll be in it. So pastor cannot change inside there except you allow the Spirit of God to work in you. Stress caused by change. I understand among the changes that we go through, moving is one of the most difficult changes in this country. And when people are stressed, you get to know. The answers they give are irrelevant most of the times. When they drive on the roads, the gestures they give are abusive. Sometimes you see a Christian putting, I'm a Christian, but the way they behave, I am Antichrist. The sticker says one thing, but their behavior tells another story. Simply because people are stressed. People are stressed. I would have told you many stories, but I don't have time for stories. Theological interpretations. This is a big one in our church. And not in our church only, even in other churches. I met a group of Sunday-keeping churches in Kenya 2 weeks ago. And when I met them and I introduced myself, I said, I'm a Seventh-day Adventist minister. And I saw one gentleman in the group there were about 18 of them. In that group, that gentleman, the moment I mentioned I was Seventh-day Adventist minister, he folded his arms like this. And he stayed like that for 45 minutes. And every time I glanced to see where his hands were, they were still there. And I realized this gentleman has something against me, especially now knowing sign language. Or even posture. You know, we talk a lot by what we express. Facial expression, our sitting postures, and walking. You know, we talk a lot by only that. And this gentleman is sitting there. Then, when I was about 15 minutes into the discussion, he crossed his legs. And I said, Sam, you are in trouble. And after that, I tried to engage him, and the gentleman was, oh, go ahead, talk. And by the end of the 45 minutes, I was sweating because of his posture. And when I said, I am done, he said, I have actually been very uncomfortable in this meeting. And I said, I knew it. And they looked at me and asked me, why didn't you ask me? I said, because I didn't want to create conflict. So I chose not to. And asked him, what made you so uncomfortable? He said, because of your theological interpretations of the Bible as Adventists. However, I want to acknowledge this before you. What I was waiting to hear from you never came out. And I'm wondering whether you should be my friend or not. And when he said that, I said, hallelujah, I hugged him. And for the first time, his hands were free, his feet were free. And when I hugged him, he said, can we meet again next year? And I said, hallelujah. But theological interpretations, even in our own little congregations, cause a lot of trouble amongst us. We are discussing royal priesthood and someone brings the Sabbath in. And you wonder, where did that come from? Okay, let's do this. Some major causes of conflict in local churches, moral misconduct can easily cause this and trip, especially when it involves the leadership. Those in leadership, pride. And all of us have our own pride to take care of. All of us. When my young son was 4 years old, he had been used so much to traveling with me, and this time he really wanted to go with me because I was going to be driving a minibus, and he loved being in a minibus in the front seat. And he said, Daddy, can I come with you? And I said, son, no, you're not coming with me because I have 16 people to carry in the minibus. And he said, Daddy, I really want to come with you. Allow me to come. And I said, okay, let me think about it. But I wasn't going to change my mind. And he wasn't going to change his mind. And so we are busy talking to each other. And I realized, you know what? I could actually do away with this big problem of my son wanting to come and occupy someone's seat and I missed one passenger. So I told him, let us play a game, son. And he looked at me and said, oh, Daddy, what game do you want us to play? I said, hide and seek. And he looked at me and said, wow, wonderful game, Daddy. Okay, let's do it. And I ran to the bedroom, I hid. He came, looked for me, he found me. Then I told him, it's your turn to go and hide. And we played for about 2 or 3 minutes. Then, the next time, he was hiding, and I went hiding. And I remember, just before I opened that door, he grabbed my leg. And when he grabbed the leg, he said, Daddy, I've been watching you for a long time. You have always been lying to me. This time you're not getting away with it. Then I looked at him and I asked him, how long have you been watching me for? He said, Daddy, a long, long time. I said, is it 4 years? He said, Daddy, it's longer than 4 years. And I said, I can't beat this one. We have our own pride to protect. Even when we think someone is too young, they still have their pride to protect. Selfish. Oh, we have dealt with that. Diversity. In Acts chapter 6, if you want, you can write those texts. I'm not going to be reading them. Acts chapter 6, we find the church, the early church is embroiled in a conflict because these widows are not being looked after as these widows from this particular group of people. And therefore, because of diversity, the church had to do something. And when the apostles called all the disciples together, when the disciples called all the apostles together, over 120 of them are sitting in Jerusalem, and they are discussing how they are going to deal with this issue of discrimination because of diversity. They came up with a very interesting strategy that they are going to appoint 7 deacons who are going to oversee the work of distribution of the tables so that the disciples could go ahead and preach. And when that happened, verse 7 really lights up my face. Verse 7 says, when that was all done, and the disciples who had come together had everything resolved, this is what the Bible says, the word of God spread, and the number of disciples multiplied greatly in Jerusalem. Hello? Yeah. When the conflict was resolved, conflict around diversity was resolved, the number of disciples greatly increased in where? Yeah. In Jerusalem. And a great many of the priests were obedient to the faith. Amen. Now look at this. Conflict is not all bad thing. No. handled and well resolved, the results could be tremendous. And this is what we see in Acts chapter 6. Those who believed in the faith because of the way the conflict was dealt with then by the local church or by the world church then brought great results. So when there's a conflict between you and I, don't think it's a bad thing. It's only bad depending on how we sort it out. When we have resolved it, it actually becomes a testimony of what we believe in. Lies and gossip. Oh my goodness, this is the biggest one. Oh, did you hear? Did you know? That sister. Oh, she is. Oh, he is. Then you begin to hear stories. And when you begin to follow where they started from, you can never get to the end, to the bottom of it. I heard it. Where did you hear it? Oh, it's all over the place, Pastor. Are you the only one who hasn't known? Really? It's all over the place. So who started it? Oh, I heard it, Pastor. I don't know. And I don't want to be a witness. All right. Gossip and lies. Read the text, the passages that I've given you. 2 Samuel chapter 16, verse 1 through 4, and chapter 19, verses 22 to 30. David has gone to war. And while he's fighting, there is a man he had invited in his household by the name Mephibosheth. And Mephibosheth stays at home or in the palace while David is busy fighting. Then a man called Ziba, who had been looking after Mephibosheth when Mephibosheth was young, comes to David and tells David stories. And this is the story he tells him. David, did you know when you left the palace, Mephibosheth started planning to overthrow your government? And David, without hesitation, hearing that, he did not even ask anyone. He was so angry, and David is so angry many times. You remember a story of another woman. What was her name? Not Bathsheba. There's a woman who was a very clever woman. Very clever woman. Abigail, yes. When he's coming to the town and he's asking Abigail's husband to give them food, and the man answers foolishly. And David is so annoyed with him. And the woman looks at this thing and says, oh, king's wrath is burned on his face. And she goes and prepares food and brings it before David commits sin. And when she places before, David was a man of anger. And this time he's angry because someone wants to overthrow him from the throne. And now he says, I invited him to the king's table. I am going to deal with him, even before he knew the story. What do you do when you hear stories that you cannot pin down? What do you do with them? At home? At work? Many of you have resigned places because of stories that have been going on. You shouldn't have resigned. But you have resigned and now you're looking for a new job. Good luck. Gossip and lies can be dangerous. They can be dangerous. Every conflict is an opportunity for transformation that can fundamentally impact our lives, either positively or negatively. Every conflict is an opportunity. And I love this statement by Clark. He says he doesn't say some of the conflicts. He says every conflict is an opportunity. And it has a way of impacting your life, either positively or negatively. But it will impact you in any way. 3 places to be. We are called to be in the middle place. Peacemaking place. A peacemaker. But we have 2 other positions. One is peace faker, and the other one is peace breaker. Those are 2 other positions that every day we have to fight against. Am I going to fake it? Am I going to break it? We are in those 2 places. You are either avoiding a conflict or trying to resolve a conflict. If you avoid a conflict, you are faking it. Hello? If you are avoiding a conflict, you are faking it. If you
are fighting because of that conflict and you want to come on top as the winner, be careful, you might be a peace breaker while you think you are fighting for your rights. But I thank God because He has given us a better place to be, right in the middle of peacemaking. That's what we are called to do. When, instead of faking it, when somebody has really wronged me, Pastor Pickett, do you know really you hurt me by what you said? And Pastor Pickett might say, you know what, Brother Sam, hey, don't worry about this. These things keep happening. I say, no, they don't just keep happening. They have happened to me and it hurts me. Yeah. It pains me, Pastor. Then Pastor might say, okay, what do you want us to do? I say, let us sit and talk about it. We sit, we address it, and when we come out of it, we are hugging one another. A better place to be, peacemaker. Or I could choose, you know what? Pastor Pickett, you did this, and I told you, you hurt me, and you really refused to acknowledge it. I am going to show who I am. I will fight you, tooth and nail. You will never have peace in this church, Pastor, because I really want to take away your peace. I will make sure that I've broken you into pieces, Pastor. Or, Pastor, it's all well, it's okay. Sam, can you come and serve as head deacon? I say, Pastor, I'm too busy this year. Pastor, Sam, is it okay with you and between you and I? Oh, Pastor, it's okay, it's okay. It's all right. You know, after all, Jesus has taken care of me. Pastor, can you serve as a children ministries leader? Hey, Pastor, I told you this year I'm going to be too busy. So what can you do this year? Pastor, I want to rest this year. Oh, blessed are they who rest in the Lord, for their reward will follow them. I will not read that to you because you guys are good. However, I can fake peace and pretend everything is okay, but the way I deal with you speaks differently. How nice would it be for me to come to this brother, I don't know you, brother, and I say, brother, what you see is what you get. I am not going to initiate anything that will offend you, but I will want us to walk this journey together as Christians, loving Christians, because all of us are coming from various distances, places, but we are all heading to the same point. And as I come towards the cross, whether I like it or not, if you're also coming to the cross, we will either meet there or we'll meet somewhere before we get there. Yeah. Hello, church? Yeah. Now, if this brother cannot eat with me and is going to eat with the one who owns the cross, and I am going to eat with the one who owns the cross, what's going to happen when we get there? Hello? What's going to happen? He is either going to leave his food and say, I cannot eat where Sam is, and disappear. Who will have put him away? Sam? Maybe yes. Maybe have a contribution, but maybe also he was faking it. Or I was faking it. So one of us will not get there, let me tell you. Whether we like it or not, despite where you have come from, despite what you have forsaken, despite all the things you have done, if I have no peace with you, if you have no peace with me, don't think this thing is going to allow you to come near it. Amen. Hello, church? Yes. Therefore, as a Christian, I'm called to grow two-dimensionally. Dimension one is upwards. Amen. To know Christ and the one who has saved me, and to know my brother and love him. Amen. If I cannot love him, John asks, if you cannot love your brother, who you can see, how do you love the one you have never seen or met? How? Church, we are called to be peacemakers. Peacemaking is not simple, it's not easy. But because we are too proud, we don't want to be involved in the process of it. We are just too proud. May God help us. that we may yield and give him our pride. And as he deals with our pride, he can help us to be able to walk journey with those who are around us. Last text, and I'm not going to speak about this because it's self-explanatory. Isaiah chapter 9. Isaiah chapter 9 verse 6 says, "For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is, and the government will be upon his, and his name will be called Wonderful, Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace." May he indeed dwell in your lives.